warfare. Hashtag prayers for Ukraine, of course. Have to put that in there or it's going to be considered hateful, the video. But this has nothing to do with Ukraine and Russia. I actually just want to show you the type of technology that exists, the type of technology you can expect to be used against the citizens of the world by the governments of the world. And it is drone warfare. It is frightening. And don't be surprised when you hear some of the ridiculousness in this clip I'm going to show you, such as what it's called, because it's called the Phoenix. That's right, the Phoenix. You know, the Phoenix rising from the ashes. That's exactly what they have planned, the Phoenix rising. They're going to destroy the world, and they're going to rise from the ashes and recreate. All the symbols and signs that I've exposed over the years have everything to do with the occult and what's going on right now and what they have planned. And all these illusions of what you think is actually going on in the world is not. But these are the things that they're going to point fingers at and blame for the chaos that's ensuing. That goes with the climate, that goes with the food shortages, that goes with all of it. But let's take a look at the technology, and you got to love some of the comments out of the guy's mouth who created it about, you know, wanting peace and love and happiness. And he's literally making drones that could go target and blow up kamikaze people.
The Pentagon is sending a secretive new weapon to Ukraine to help fight against Russia, and it was developed right here in San Diego.
It's a type of kamikaze attack drone that is so new, there are no photos or videos of it. But I visited the company's headquarters today and spoke with a security expert to get some insights about how it works. The U.S. has already sent more than 1,000 of these small exploding drones to the Ukrainian army. They're called Switchblade drones because of the way their propellers rapidly unfold after they're fired from a launcher. But the latest military aid package to Ukraine includes a secretive new type of attack drone called the Phoenix Ghost. It was developed by a company called Avex Aerospace, headquartered in Solana Beach.
The reason that we exist is to empower people to make the world a safer place. And that's exactly what we're doing with the Phoenix Ghost program. Unfortunately, we're not really able to discuss the details in any depth.
CEO Brian Radines leads the company of about 600 employees. He's a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel who helped oversee the flagship Predator drone during his stint in the military.
We primarily focus on special customers who need things very quickly and that have very special requirements. And I guess the current situation in Ukraine is sort of an example of that kind of an activity.
Radines would not provide any details about the Ghost, but the Pentagon has said they function in a similar way to Switchblades, seen in this Marine Corps training video. Switchblades are fired out of a tube, and they're mounted with cameras and a warhead. Once the human operator finds a target, the drone dive bombs and detonates. Some models can blast holes in a tank.
The benefit of those is you can shoot and scoot, as they say. You can shoot the weapon and then leave so that you can't be targeted.
National security expert Ron B. says these drones are called loitering weapons. They can hang out in the sky and verify targets before attacking them. The Switchblade can hover for about 30 minutes, and there are reports the Ghost can stay airborne for several hours.
This is cutting-edge drone technology that has not been used before in Ukraine. So this is a big step by the Biden administration to buy these weapons.
The Biden administration said it will send 121 Phoenix Ghosts to Ukraine. They're expected to be used primarily in the east of the country, where the territory is rural and flat, and Russian forces are largely out in the open. Now, Avex also makes specialized drones for commercial use, including a drone that firefighters use to map wildfires with LiDAR.
So it's interesting that the government won't release any of the information really to an extent about this secretive drone that we're sending over. And of course, we're paying for it with our tax money, sending over to Ukraine to do secretive attacks. There are secretive attack drones that'll help the fight, quote unquote, against Russia. It was developed by a company based in Solana Beach, the Phoenix Ghost. Like I said earlier, unbelievable. The Phoenix Ghost is so secretive, there are no official photos or videos of the drone, but according to Pentagon officials, it operates similarly to the Switchblades that you saw in that video. The U.S. has sent more than 1,000 Switchblade drones to the Ukrainian army. The drones made by Aero Vernamen in Arlington, Virginia are called Switchblades because of the way their propellers rapidly unfold after they are fired after a launcher out of a launcher tube, which you saw. Avex has about 600 employees working on several defense and commercial projects, including the Ghost. They said the reason that we exist is to empower people to make the world a safer place. And that's exactly what we're doing with the Phoenix Ghost program. Yes, they're making the world a safer place by creating kamikaze drones that can fly into things, that can pinpoint targets, fly into them, and blow them up. And this guy has the nerve to say they're making the world a safer place. And of course, they're saying, well, we're making it a safer place because, Russia's horrible. We got to go after Russia. Oh, right. And then you have this type of power, almost like right at a Terminator, the government would be able to use against people they don't like or people they deem domestic threats. Like, people like me and you who aren't threats, but because we expose what the ultimate plan is of these people, we're deemed threats. And they'd say, oh, they're the type of person that would go and do this or go and do that. When in reality, we're not. We're just trying to wake people up so they realize who the real villain is here, who the big boogeyman is, that they're telling you it's one thing, but in reality, it's another. But, this guy's sitting there going, we want to make the world a safer place. Yeah, that makes sense. That's, people think of peace and stuff. They think of Gandhi. You see Gandhi talking about love and peace and then pulling a machine gun out of his pocket and burying the crowd. I mean, yeah, he's making the world a safer place by creating kamikaze drones. I mean, the stuff that comes out of people's mouths and the imbeciles we live among who believe it and think that this, man. So anyway, this company clearly has a deal with the government. Otherwise, the government wouldn't be using them, which tells you enough that you need to know about this guy and the company. But, think about the power of a technology like this. And obviously, when they tell us this stuff exists and they're using it for reasons like that, when you're actually awake and aware, you know what this technology is actually going to be used for in the future and who it's going to be used for, because this isn't anything to do with Russia and Ukraine. This is the type of technology that governments will have to be able to go after civilians. And the way they've always wanted people to envision war and martial law and things like that is not going to be the way stuff happens. They envision people getting all this stuff forced. People are going to willingly ask for the government to come in and do stuff and take care of stuff and bring in martial law. People are going to willingly ask the government to wipe their rear ends for them. They're not going to need to force anything. That's the point of what they're trying to do. And things like this, people are like, well, they're going to come after you. It's going to be like a Waco type thing. The governments are going to come to your door with a military. They don't need to. They have the type of technology. They could literally, you're sound asleep. They send a drone up into the sky, kamikazes into your home. Your home catches fire, your home's on fire. And then the next day they just go, oh yeah, they had an electrical fire. Their house burnt down. Oh, that's such a shame, right? Because people won't see it, right? But if the military showed up, neighbors and people would see it and they'd be like, what is going on? They'd be like, well, this is freaky. This is scary. I don't know. Is that necessary? Something like this, they just blame it on an electrical wire. Oh, yep, house burned down. Technology like this shouldn't exist. Now, this isn't something that's out of the realm of possibility. I'm sure people have thought of this in the past, and we've known that technology like this has existed. But the more they bring attention to these types of things, the more they become normalized, and then the more, it's easier for them to start releasing and being like, yeah, we have drone security flying up in America, flying around just to make sure that nothing's happening. And, and people be like, that's great. Yeah, it's filming us. People don't care anymore because people walk around with cell phones filming everything around them without consent, of course. So they wouldn't care if a drone was flying up. They'd be like, it's for security purposes. So, I have to worry about my neighbors. I don't have to worry about getting robbed and crimes, which is one of the reasons they're constantly pushing crime in the news, because they want people to continually be in fear. It all works perfectly into their new world order plan. So this type of technology, you hear these stories, you should automatically think, well, this is the type of technology they have to use on us, because that's really what this is about. Not only is it a spiritual war, it's a war on people who are exposing what these people have planned and what they're doing, even though they're outing themselves in public. They admit to what they want. They admit to resets. They admit to needing a reset, right? They admit to all this stuff, but still they fear people like me and you because they don't want people to use common sense and actually think and put things together. They want people to constantly believe in a boogeyman hiding in a cave somewhere, a threat all the time that doesn't really exist. And that's kind of what they've worked people into thinking about conspiracy theorists, that they're threats. When in reality, all we're doing, especially someone like you and me, like we're talking online. You guys are sharing stuff. You might have your own channels. And they want to deem it a threat to people. Well, the more they tell people it's a threat, the more people will believe it. And the more people will think, wow, we need technology like this because this will protect us, and then we won't need humans anymore to do it. The technology has no emotion. It could just fly into stuff, and we could pinpoint, places for it to go. I mean, it's a frightening thought, but it's the reality, and it's the world that we live in. And this is what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. It is a world war, but it isn't the world war you think it is. It is a world war on the citizens of the world. The governments have officially turned on the citizens. You see what's going on in China.